Picture this. It is the year 2005. A couple we will call Tom and Linda have just retired. They did everything right. Saved aggressively for 30 years, lived below their means, never carried credit card debt. Tom is 63, Linda is 60, and they have hit the magical number that they spent 3 decades working toward. $1 million in their retirement portfolio. They feel incredible. They feel like they have won. They go on the vacation they have been putting off. They make a plan. They are going to live on $40,000 a year from their portfolio. Use the 4% rule they read about and supplement that with Social Security when it kicks in. The math looks perfect on paper. It is now 2025. 20 years have passed. Tom and Linda are still here. They are in relatively good health, which they are grateful for. But their financial situation looks very different than it did in 2005. Inflation over those 20 years has eroded their purchasing power significantly. The $40,000 a year they started with in 2005 would need to be closer to $70,000 today to buy the same things. Healthcare costs for the two of them have run substantially higher than they originally projected, and the portfolio has been drawing down steadily for 2 decades. Are they broke? No. Did things work out reasonably? More or less. But is this the carefree, comfortable retirement they imagined when they crossed the $1 million finish line in 2005? Not exactly. And here's the thing. Tom and Linda did not do anything wrong. They followed the conventional wisdom perfectly. They just based their entire plan on a number and a framework that was built for a world that has significantly changed. If you are chasing $1 million as your retirement goal right now, I want you to stay with me through this video, not to scare you, but to give you an honest picture of what that number actually does and does not buy you in today's world. And more importantly, what you can do about it. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want more of this kind of honest retirement education. We cover this every week. Let us start at the beginning. Where did the $1 million number even come from? The specific framework most people use around this number is called the 4% rule, and it is one of the most famous, most widely cited, and honestly most misunderstood concepts in retirement planning. The 4% rule was developed in 1994 by a financial planner named William Bengen. He spent years analyzing historical market data, looking at how different investment portfolios perform through good markets, bad markets, inflation spikes, and recessions. And he concluded that a retiree could withdraw 4% of their portfolio per year, adjusted for inflation each year after that, and have a very high probability of their money lasting 30 years. On a $1 million portfolio, 4% is $40,000 in the first year. The following year, you adjust for inflation. If inflation is 3%, you take out $41,200, and so on, growing a little each year so your purchasing power stays roughly consistent. That is the framework, and it was genuinely solid research based on the data available in 1994. The problem is that 1994 was 30 years ago. And the world has changed in ways that make some of the original assumptions worth revisiting carefully. Let us go through the main ones. First, the 4% rule was designed for a 30-year retirement. In 1994, if you retired at 65 and planned for 30 years, you were planning to age 95. Most people did not make it that long at the time. But today, the average 65-year-old can expect to live another 18 to 20 years. And that is just an average. Half of people live longer than average. Many live well into their 90s. If you retire at 60 instead of 65, you might be looking at a 35 or even 40-year retirement. The math changes meaningfully when you extend the timeline that far. Second, the 4% rule assumes a 50-50 split between stocks and bonds. Modern financial research suggests that for many retirees, this is actually too conservative on the stock side. Bonds carry their own risks, and their long-term returns have been relatively modest compared to stocks. A portfolio weighted more towards stocks historically lasted longer and generated higher returns, even accounting for more short-term volatility along the way. Third, and this is the one that gets most people, the rule does not fully account for healthcare inflation. Healthcare costs have consistently risen faster than general inflation for decades. The average cost of a hospital stay, prescription drugs, dental care, vision care, and everything else medical has been compounding at rates that outpace the consumer price index in most years. You can budget correctly for general inflation and still get blindsided by healthcare costs that grow much faster. Speaking of healthcare, let us talk about the number that most people planning for retirement completely ignore or dramatically underestimate. Fidelity Investments estimates that a couple retiring at 65 today needs approximately $315,000 set aside specifically for healthcare costs over the rest of their lives. $315,000 on top of everything else, not instead of living expenses, in addition to them. That single number, applied to a $1 million portfolio, represents 31% of your entire retirement savings gone before you pay for a single month of rent, food, utilities, or any other normal living expense. And healthcare costs are not evenly distributed across retirement. They tend to accelerate significantly in your 70s and 80s, exactly when you have the least flexibility to adjust your financial plan. Now let us look at what inflation alone does to $1 million over a long retirement, because this is the piece that catches people most off guard. The dollar you earn today is not the dollar you will spend in 20 years. Inflation gradually and relentlessly reduces purchasing power. Over the past several decades, the average inflation rate has been around 3 to 3.5% per year. That sounds harmless. At 3% inflation, a dollar loses roughly half its purchasing power over 24 years. Which means the $40,000 you plan to live on in year 1 of retirement is worth the equivalent of about $25,000 of today's dollars by year 15 of your retirement. The number on the withdrawal check looks the same. What it buys you does not. So what is the actual number people need in 2025 and 2026? According to a Northwestern Mutual survey cited by Kiplinger, Americans now believe they need $1,460,000 to retire comfortably. That is up $200,000 from the same survey just 1 year earlier. The number is moving in one direction, and it is not downward. By most current financial planning standards, accounting for longer retirements, realistic healthcare costs, and current inflation rates, a genuinely comfortable 30-year retirement for a middle-class couple requires somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million. For many people, that is twice what they have been planning for. And here is the most sobering statistic of all. Only 5% of American households with retirement accounts have $1 million or more saved. 5%. And 54% of American households have no dedicated retirement savings at all. Not a small amount. None. I want to be completely honest with you. Nothing in this video is meant to make you feel hopeless. The situation is serious, but it is genuinely not hopeless. Here is why. Every year you start earlier matters enormously because compounding is real and powerful. A 30-year-old who begins investing aggressively has something a 55-year-old does not, which is time, and time makes every other strategy more effective. There are also levers beyond simply saving more. Delaying Social Security benefits from 62 to 70 increases your monthly benefit by roughly 77% over the course of retirement. Working part-time in early retirement dramatically extends how long a portfolio lasts. Living in a lower cost of living area, whether in the United States or internationally, can change the math entirely. The point is not that $1 million leaves you in poverty. At $1 million plus Social Security, most people can have a reasonable middle-class retirement. The point is that the finish line you may have been told about was drawn in 1994 for a world that no longer exists. And adjusting your target now, while you still have time to act, is far better than discovering the gap when it is too late to close it.